from averaging 1.59 to 3.19 in 2025, with over 75% of students earning college credit compared to 49.3% in Arkansas and 73.7% globally. Similarly, 73.7% AP psychology students earned college credit, surpassing the state average by over 20% and the global average by 3.1%. I also designed our work to add value to ELA standards, particularly in information text. In 2026, the number of students scoring below mastery was reduced from 11% to 7%, and those scoring above mastery increased from 9% to 23%, with an 8-point increase in the average score from August 25 to January 2026. As you can see, we've selected a quality person to represent Arkansas Arts Academy. And so now I'd like to formally announce that Mr. Keith Todd is our Arkansas Arts Academy District. It is quite an honor to have you represent us in our first official submission to the Department of Education, and for you to represent us and our school and our mission. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. It's quite an honor. So we're going to take the photos. With that, so like it or not.
All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much for this amazing experience we have with you. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. I believe that now we're going to have a high school update and an elementary update. So I'll turn it over to the administrators.
So as you know, normally we have a PowerPoint, and mine is very visually enhanced this month, of course. So I'll try to get that sent out to you because it's full of pictures.
Can you describe it?
Yeah, can I describe it in detail? It'll only take me about 30 minutes. I think we're good, right? But basically I gave a visual report of Night at the Museum. So we had jazz, dance, and choir from the high school. Rachel had a whole slew of her different activities over at Crystal Bridges this past Thursday. And so that was a really neat event. It's a pretty cool event where we have the opportunity to go and perform and share what we do with the community. So we had Night at the Museum. We also had Seussical the Musical. And I don't know if you got a chance to see it. It's been my favorite, probably for sure favorite musical of the two that I've gotten to experience here. It was absolutely excellent. The amount of talent that we have in that department right now is just phenomenal. So she double cast that musical. And so what that means is all of the major parts had 2 players, and 3 of the performances were one cast and 3 of the performances were a different cast. Both were extremely high level. And then all of the ensemble and the people in the background, they did all 6 of those performances. So even today, kids are still exhausted. They're just walking around like, I can't believe I have to be here. So they did a phenomenal job. And to see the number of students that we have that are such great performers, singers, dancers, as you know, musical theater brings in all different kinds of talents. And so it was absolutely phenomenal. Next, we had water dance this past Saturday. Our dance, our high school dance, our high level dancers were invited to do a performance down at Lake Atlanta. And this was a national thing where they videoed their performance near water. It's called Water Dance. And then it was it was put in with all of the others from around the country that were performing at the same time. So it was a really cool experience for them, a lot of fun. The rest of mine is really more about upcoming events. We have coming up on May 1st, we have our Elevate, a dance celebration. So that's our dance recital. If you've not seen one of those, you should really set aside the time to see the level. And what's really cool is to see from elementary to high school the changes, but also, I mean, how talented the elementary dancers are, that they are really great performers. But to see the difference in that and our upper level high school kids is really, really neat. And it is, when you see anything that our dance company does, it is a professional performance. I mean, it's nothing short of that. So really think about that one. You have a list. I've given you the senior events with all the dates and times. We want to formally invite you to graduation on May 16th at 10 a.m. We do request an RSVP just sometimes that week so that we know how many chairs to have on the stage. So we would love for you to come to at least that one if possible, but you have a whole list there. Senior awards, senior showcase. It is really something to see all of our senior performance students put out the best work. It's kind of their portfolio. And then we have the visual arts. Their showcase was the past couple of weeks, so they won't be there those nights. But we have senior dinner and our awards and all of the things. So that list. We are starting testing tomorrow. So we start with literacy this week, go into science next week, and then we put math to the end to give us that extra push of time with tutoring and intervention. We're doing all kinds of things with math, so we want to give them the most time possible. And then AP testing starts on May 7th. And of course, we finish up the year with that, goes all the way, kind of a little bit along the way. Our final set would be we have prom coming this Saturday. If you want to stop by and see how pretty the decorations are and how beautiful everybody looks, feel free to stop by for a few minutes. But those are the big events that we've had, and yeah, so that's pretty much what I have for you.
Thank you.
I had a presentation, but it's not image heavy and it was short. We are right. Well, I'll say the night of the museum stuff that we had. My favorite part that I hadn't seen before is we had some elementary ceramicists that they were making little coil pots and pinch pots with anyone that came in. They got to contribute to the making of multiple pots, and then they're going to finish those up. The kids will finish them up, and then they're going to auction them at our Celebrate the Arts Gala. We had some kids, our theater kids created their own play, their own little mini play that they wrote, created. I mean, every single bit of it was them. They performed, and we had lots of dance performances and a choir performance. It was the night at the museum nights are always a really amazing night to see. Another thing that happened since our last board meeting is Dr. Roberts arranged for a group of dancers, 6th through 12th grade, to go to Inspiration Point in Eureka Springs. There was a group from Oklahoma University that was performing a piece called The Sacred Veil, which was an incredibly moving. If you should look up this. So Eric Whitaker was the composer that wrote this music to go along with a very sad situation, a poem that a man wrote. But it was incredible. The kids got to see their dress rehearsal, so they kind of got behind the scenes of this professional dance company, and they then got to talk to them afterwards. And just ask lots of questions and conversations. It was really cool, and our dancers were really excited, and it was amazing for me. I went back and saw the real performance the next night. It was really incredible. That was a really wonderful opportunity for our kids to have. We have testing coming up. We are in fact testing right now. We tested yesterday and today and tomorrow and the next day, and then the next 2 weeks. Our kindergarten through 2nd graders finish their literacy today, and then they're starting math tomorrow, and then we just have, it's the season of testing, so that's what we're doing right now. The state is giving us our scores back. Well, some of them we're getting back immediately. Some of them they have humans grade them instead of AI, because our kindergarten through 2nd graders, they actually speak. They actually do their sounds and talk. So they have had AI grade them, but they're kind of pulling some out. We also, let's see, we will be talking to our 3rd grade parents as soon as we start to get results for that, because of the 3rd grade reading law that we've talked about a couple of times. This, and I think I might have said this last time, but the state did release that we will have an additional Atlas test that the third graders can take at the end of June after they receive more assistance. So if they do not pass, if they get a level 1 and are at risk of retention, during this test that they will be taking next week, then they have an opportunity to get more intensive work and more intensive intervention, and then they can take the test again. Our reading interventionists are already preparing for doing additional support for those kids after school ends. They're already kind of writing up what a plan and what we need to do, what we can do to support them. So I can't even tell you how many kids we might anticipate because the rules kind of keep changing as we go. And you just never know what we're going to see exactly on the summative test, but we're watching very closely. We have some fun end of year celebrations coming up. We have our preschool promotion, our very first ones. It's our first little group of pre-K students. We're going to have pre-K and kindergarten graduation both on May 27th here. Our pre-K will be 5:30 to 6 because we only have 12. We're going to do a little bridge crossing. And then our kindergartners will be right after that at 6 o'clock, and they'll do their little kinder graduation and get their little certificates. It's a pretty fun night. Our sixth graders will be doing their graduation, their celebration on May 28th at 5:30. So they're going to start here for the ceremony where we, a normal kind of little sixth grade celebration. But then this year, what they're doing differently is they are going to walk to the A3 gallery, which is where their kind of big culminating projects will be. They've been working on a lot of different projects through all of their classes, a lot of different arts projects, and they will be curated in the gallery, and they will be curating them and setting them up themselves. They went to Rogers Historical Museum and have learned about curating, and they're writing the little pieces that go along next to them, getting their labels ready, everything. So that'll be amazing and fun to see. And we've done that, the museum, but it's usually, a couple weeks before the end of school. But so we're going to see how it works to put it in conjunction with our graduation. And part of that is so that we can have every family come, because every kid deserves to have their family see their work in the gallery. And we're really excited about that piece. So let's go.
Thank you. I will add in just a couple of other district updates. With Ms. Price resignation and departure, which we're very sad about, one of the commitments I have made to the school community is that we open this conversation up and really try to be inclusive on their voices and their feedback. So a staff survey has been sent out, and they've gotten some kind of responses to what they prioritize as their next leader, or what they want to really focus on, or what the hiring committee should look at. We've got some that are interested in being on that hiring panel, which is great. The student survey is going out thanks to Ms. Funderburg is rolling that through student council. So the surveys questioning students on what they feel a great leader would be and what that should look like to them. And then the community discussion is on Thursday night. So I'm going to leave that here in the pack and really guide parents to a conversation on prioritization of intentional characteristics. So we'll have that conversation on Thursday. And then all of that information will be formulated into how we develop our guiding rubric on the evaluation of the candidates. We've gotten multiple applications in, and so now it's really prioritizing the community feedback into what is the mission of the school feedback, the vision that I have, and then putting it all together into one response. And so I encourage parents to come and speak their, contribute to that conversation. The other thing that I wanted to bring about is the fact that we, Miss Price did not mention, but Miss Fry did this amazing, after all the many performances that the kids had, which were six, she did on the evening performances in the weekend, a kind of a minute to win it fundraising pitch. And throughout that, she raised almost like $2,000.
It was 600 on the first 9.
Yeah. And so she did that with just putting out for a minute of fundraising ask during the audience. And so the whole ticket that she got with ticket sales and that was close to $13,000 for this one show, which really speaks to her effort and dedication to the event, but also the time the kids put in and the professionalism that she's instilling in these performers. They take it very seriously, and it really showed. So I just wanted to add those things in district update.
Okay. Thank you for all the updates. Next is comments from the public. See anyone signed up, so I don't think we have any comments from the public. Consent agenda. We, the board, need to approve the minutes from last month. So I need a motion to approve them unless anyone has any questions about.
I'm going to accept the minutes from last month.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we have the financials. Can we wait till we have Adrian next time and talk about both months? Because I really would like Adrian's opinion. I looked through there, but I just feel more comfortable hearing her. Can we do that? Can we vote
You can
on?
approve the minutes minus the financials.
Minus the financials.
Renee's also here if you have any questions, but yes, you can do that.
I didn't have any questions, but I would like to just hear that Adrian scan them before we actually accept them. So
Sure.
I just want to make sure we can do two
Yes,
on send one.
yes,
And that's working. Okay.
yes.
Okay, moving into new business. On our agenda, we have an update to the 4 after-school policy for approval. This policy is being updated for student safety, adequate supervision, consistent family expectations, reduced organizational liability, protecting our staff's contracted hours. And we need to update this policy for operational clarity for next year. Those are the bullet points. I don't know if Dr. Roberts, you want to get into that a little bit more about our intent here with updating this policy.
Sure. This policy really is to address those students that are arriving before staff is on duty and the ones that are lingering after school is dismissed when staff are off duty. We are very fortunate that we have Bruce World as our after-school provider. So she operates in multiple school sites. Next year, she's picked up a contract for almost all of Rogers middle schools.
She has 4 Rogers, 5 Rogers Elementaries, I believe, is what she'll have next year.
So, and then she's got other pockets of her program. So we are going to be kind of her operational hub next year, and she's going to be able to have a before school and an after school, as well as be able to do after school with our pre-K. She's got the certain licensure that's able to do that. So we've put together a safety net for those kids, a place for them to go if parents have to drop off early. She's also priced it very, very reasonably. Her goal is not, as a nonprofit, it's not to, as she says, get rich on this. Her goal is to provide students a safe place to be. And she gives it to our staff for free. So if our staff have kids that go there, they are at no cost. She also runs scholarships for kids that are in a financial situation at home and they can't afford that. So she's a great partner to work with. Currently, we don't have a before school, but with us moving this into next year, we'll have the wraparound services. What is happening right now is the biggest concern is we've got kids that are being left, meaning the parents are super late to pick them up, way beyond the capacity of anyone just to kind of stay a few minutes extra. It's really encroaching on a serious inflection of our contract. And so
It's happening in the morning too, right?
Not-
Drop off, it's not as prevalent.
not as much,
Okay.
but it still exists. We don't have anything in place right now for them for the remainder of the year, but we will next year. But what is happening now is kids will be left, the office is closing up, they'll walk them over to Bruce World, waiting on parents. Parents will arrive and there's no reciprocation of giving them the funding they need to pay for that hour, hour and a half. And in the meantime, they're over now on kids because they have hired a certain number of staff to deal with a certain number of expected enrolled kids. And they're not getting compensated for an additional. And it's really not necessarily only about the compensation, it's just about safety and being prepared and aware of what kids are gonna come over. So what we're going to do with this policy, if you guys will approve it, is that with those parents that seem to be repeat offenders, we'll give them one more opportunity. And with that late pickup, they'll be asked to sign a form saying that they recognize when our school pickup time is, and they will be responsible for payment to Ruse World with any other additional late pickups. And then we're hoping to really provide parents with this opportunity for their kids to be taken care of in a safe place versus being left unattended, sitting outside of a locked school building, which we don't do, but inevitably that's what the outcome would be if we did not have staff that were willing to stay. And they've worked a long day and they've gotten there very early, and it's not fair for us to ask that.
And to date, we've had a lot of the goodness of their hearts just stay and make
Yes.
sure that everyone gets home safely, right?
Yes.
So we've been asking too much of them. That's not reasonable to continue.
Right, especially when they've got their own after-school events planned with their own kids and their own responsibilities or their own things they need to do. So this policy will just kind of emphasize those parameters again. And then they will talk about the signed agreement. So next year, we'll put that part as part of the enrollment packet. That if they're late picking up, they will be charged a fee. And the kids will be taken over to Bruce World, where she does all the caring and they do all the activities and give them snacks and all that stuff, but that we can't be managed that way with our own staff.
Are we collecting the fee or just Ruse World collecting?
Bruce World does.
And I mean, how are they forcing it?
Well, they're gonna sign an agreement.
Okay.
And if they don't pay, then we'll have to, a good question, they'll have to manage that part.
Dr. Roberts, when I reviewed the policy, I felt like there was some clarity missing on the morning drop-off portion.
Okay.
If I'm concerned that a parent comes before, like the timing of it all just didn't seem real clear to me. That could be solely me not understanding it. But I would ask that this policy give very clear boundaries of between this time and this time in the morning. Your child is with Ruse World. Between this time and this time in the after school, you're with Ruse World. And then all those other times, you're the responsibility of the staff and administration of each thing. Like I felt like that wasn't super clear, specifically on the morning part. I'm good with this policy. In fact, I'm fine to vote it in with that addendum that we add some clarity specifically to the timing. I assume we need to get this in place sooner rather than later so that we can enact it. Did anybody else have any questions or concerns about the way this is written or just the policy in general? Okay, I'm comfortable voting the policy, and again with the addendum that we add some clarity on times. It's very, very clear what time works and what time doesn't. And even before and beyond the times that Ruse operates, right? It has to say, these times are beyond even Ruse operating times. So then you've abandoned your child if you haven't at this time, right?
I'm sure she has her own procedures.
Her own
on what
policy.
happens after.
So the before and after can be Ruse,
Yeah.
their policy.
Yes.
Our policy is to really clearly identify admin and staff hours are this. And if you're before that or after that, you're gonna fall into Ruse rules.
This is just covering our own liability. We let Rue use our gym as a space. We don't charge her rent. That's our partnership with her. That's what our return is. The fact these rates are really low. I mean, $92 a week for after-school care is really reasonable. And then a $19 day drop-in rate, that's really reasonable. And that she gives us back as far as she's donated money to her school, she's donated time, and she has a service dog that comes in, and she's does a lot of things back for our school and as far as tuition for our staff. But we want to honor her management abilities as far as knowing what kids are gonna be there and what kids are not, and helping her recoup the funds that she should have. She's under a state license, she has all the reporting mechanisms, it's responsible for any kind of programming. She has to be true to her numbers, and we can't falter on this.
We want parents to have that option,
Yes,
that there's a cost associated with it.
Correct.
A reasonable one.
yes,
Cost associated.
yes.
I move to adopt this policy. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. We also need to discuss an update to the staff attendance policy. I think that's just some verbiage changes, for clarity, right, Dr. Robert?
Yeah,
I
so
didn't have any concerns.
really what we're trying to do with our attendance policy with staff is to really ensure that our staff are coming to work, but also when they can't come to work, they're notifying their administrator in ample time, so we make sure we have this coverage. We have designated certain blackout dates as far as unless an emergency, staff try to be on the job, because those days before break, those days returning from a break, it's hard to find substitutes. And so when we have classes that are unattended, specifically at the elementary school, when there's not enough staff to kind of move kids around and cover classes, it can be a problem. And so we also have staff that, you know, in lieu of having a formal write-up, this is the next step, because the next step would be, why are you always off on Friday? You know, we have a policy, and your attendance is important for the success of our students. So of course, they have sick days. We encourage them to take their personal days that they have, but we also need a communication flow so they're prepared. And so having an updated employee attendance is also just a reminder of that. So we're clear in our next year's employee handbook that it's important that they honor those things.
Any questions or concerns? Okay, can I get a motion to accept this policy change?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next is our third grade retesting intervention plan, good cause exemption policy for approval. Dr. Roberts, I'll defer to you again to explain what this means.
So Rachel alluded to the third grade retention plan, and we have discussed it before, but as a reminder, this is part of the LEARNS Act and Governor Sanders' new focus on kids being ready and literate as they exit third grade. And the state has defined what those parameters look like, and gave us their list of students they felt like were in this pocket of concern. They did that in the mid-fall, and Rachel and I attended one of her sessions, but has had meetings with parents to let them know. This is not a news flash for them. They probably have already identified in their kindergarten through beginning third grade year, their student may be behind in their reading ability. But this legislation says that if they are not at a certain level, that we are required to retain them. And here are the exemptions. So the exemptions have been clarified and then re-clarified and adjusted a little bit as it becomes closer to the point where kids are going to be retained. And for all we know, it could be another version of it coming up. But what we want to do with this policy is clearly explain how we're using it in our district, but also putting some safeguards in it as we anticipate what the potential concerns will be after we begin retaining students, or other districts begin retaining students. So one of the exemptions for the students is, of course, if they have an IEP, if they have special needs, they have learning disabilities, their progress is going to be measured a little bit differently. If they have exhibited high need intervention and they're still not able to do that, that's probably a sign of cognitive disability that we have not put an attention focus on. We need some retesting. So a lot of those exemptions have to do with designated intellectual disabilities. Some of the concerns that I brought to Rachel, and one of the reasons we have this policy is, once parents understand their child is going to be potentially retained, I could anticipate parents wanting to leave one district and go to another district, so that would not happen, with parents not understanding the purpose and intent of this legislation. So what I wanted to do is, if students come to us as a new third grader and they are not bringing with them the documentation that's required for us to use it as an exemption, that they need to know that all we're able to do is that year, that what's happening in that 1 3rd grade year. Because another part of the exemption is we carry forth documentation of kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. So we have a vast amount of data to pull from to really look and see why this student is still having reading problems. So without that, we can't use, there's no waiver we can use unless they are of an intellectual disability. So this is clearly stating that we will only use that 1 year if that's all that we have. We can't go on hypothetical or undocumented processes. We have to go with what we have. And maybe that will not happen, but I feel like it's important for us to sort of have a safeguard on how we're going to operate if that does come about.
And this policy is really right in line with the state's guidance.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is not, our district's no different than any other district. They all have the same challenges we do. The state has given guidance and this policy reflects it, right?
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room with the state law.
It is what it is.
So how we handle it, you know, we're, in my opinion, we're going above and beyond, really having partners with those parents. Because this is not something they have just discovered. This is something that is beginning to be more and more apparent as the kids get older. But we're really working with them to give every potential cause of exemption if it's possible. But we only can do that with the data that's supporting all of our decisions, because we will be called to task if we don't remediate. That will be we'll have to answer the department. So we want to make sure that we've got all of we're covered with our information. We can't do that with a newcomer that comes in and doesn't have that to support, but yet still wants the same level of possibilities for waivers.
This may be a silly question, but is this policy going to affect any of our currently enrolled at-risk 3rd graders, positively or negatively?
It won't impact them all because we've already been doing all the work.
Right.
And there will probably be a handful of kids that we will recommend for them to be retained. But it is because it is in their best interest at this point, based on this law, that we can't do justice, advance them to a higher level if they cannot read. It goes against what my personal opinion is on retention, but it's the state law.
Forgive me if I'm thinking about this wrong. Should this be newly enrolled 4th grade students that have
Newly enrolled,
or it says, so not kids going to the 4th grade that have been through this, that have been able to advance past 3rd grade. Am I thinking about it?
Yeah.
It's like, so if let's say they didn't advance from another district,
Right.
yet think they can then come enroll as a 4th grader in another district, right? Like, how do we know that student advanced from the previous district? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you touched on that, but I want to make sure our wording is right here, because it.
and to be honest, that is true. If we get records and the records from the former school recommended them to be retained, we're gonna have to go on that retention, because we don't know the kid. And at the same time, I'll add that in, I wasn't thinking about the fourth graders who got that information. I was specifically thinking about the second grade, and coming into third,
Right.
but that'll cover us on both
Yeah.
ends.
that piece.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Interesting.
Do what?
I said I can see that's gonna be interesting next year.
I think so too, and since it's a statewide initiative, it's the first year it's about to roll out, and we've got a lot of parents that are gonna be in the situation, especially in some of our higher risk schools. I think it's gonna be a lot of probably rules and promulgation of rules and changing it, but for us, we're trying to follow all the things right now.
Anybody else? I feel like we'll make some edits and bring this one back next month. Is that okay? Just to address that concern? Or do you want to adopt it? in
We can
current
adopt it, and I'll
format,
add in
edit
the
in?
fourth grade so we can get it in play.
Is there any other potential subversion that we should get into of the addendum? Concern we're missing something, right? That's the only thing I'm
We
thinking
can always go back and re-add to it,
in that addendum.
but I would like to get it in place since some schools are gonna be out in about
Yeah.
less than a month.
So we need to have our baseline.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve this policy?
So big.
I second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
And to reiterate, before we move on from that, Rachel did touch on the state's already letting those kids that fail the literacy part of Atlas take it again. So they've already kind of gone back on their word, and so I'm hopeful our pocket of kids are just narrowed down to the minimum. So we'll see how that goes.
as it develops, we're gonna have to continue to review.
Yeah.
that, Right, anything that's coming.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Sounds like the state is surprised how many aren't meeting that benchmark.
And I think another component too is the requirement from the state is if a third grader fails, they are placed with a highly qualified teacher for fourth grade. Well, some school districts don't have an abundance of highly qualified fourth grade teachers. And so there will be a shuffle of how to go about meeting that requirement. So now they're mass training how to be a highly qualified teacher. There's a lot of missing parts in this scenario, but
And the state providing the support for the districts to be able to provide those services.
correct.
Yep.
Celebrate the arts update. So just to get you all on the same page, we officially announced it at the performances over the weekend. We've got some posters printed. I've got the website up to date. I've got it linked into the site that I will be able to collect ticket sales, the sponsorships, the donations. So we're working on finalizing that whole package. There is a sponsorship. It's not a package, a sponsorship letter, maybe, it's a visual. That is being fine tuned and has been sent to Ashley and Adrian, who both could make it tonight, for their final version, and then it's ready to go print and sent out to all of you guys. As far as, in addition to the language of email. And so Mark will follow up with all of that. And I hope to have that to you by this week. So then we're ready to kind of advance forward. The exciting part is that I felt like we really developed some momentum with our work over the show. And I think as we have all these senior performances, all these end of the year performances, we'll continue to discuss. Anybody that's on the stage with a microphone is going to talk about Celebrate the Arts. And I've got another poster of the performers. And so we're really working on preparing ourselves for this first step into this space. I got the architectural renderings on the website of what Hyde Jackson's put together, which is nice to see what maybe a finished version would be. Mark and I were talking a little beforehand, is the backstage is this entity all on its own, and unless you've seen that space, you don't recognize how bad it is in need of safety and repair. So I'll have to give Marty a tour of what that looks like so she can visualize it.
Anyone who wants to see back there.
Yeah.
Changes your mindset a little bit about why this push. The kids being in a green room, you know, switching for performance or where they enter and access. And if you see back there, it'll just change your thought process on it.
I will have to say, Hyde Jackson is an incredible partner for us. The team that came together to create this design and found some way to create a bridge between that existing building and this First Baptist Church, it was an amazing process for them. So they have a sense of ownership on this school. It's amazing. And they donate all their time to the renovations, the drawings, the renderings, the coming out and helping us. And so does Flintco, who was a construction. And they've come out and helped us figure out our dance floor issue for free. They've come out because they feel the sense of belonging in this space. They pulled together their whole creative team when they were designing this building and just got feedback from all these professionals in the field, professional sound people, the professional ceramicists, all this for all the spaces they wanted it to be. Now we're paying a loan on the building, but for the most part, they have really, it is part of their lifelong work. So when they were asked to do the renderings, they came in with full force. And they just are so incredible partner. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm really excited to have that next step in it. So we'll see how that goes. So that's where we're at, and you'll be getting more information very shortly.
Yeah, you'll be seeing correspondence from me. Just let me know where and how to reply. Even if I don't have time for that, I'll deal with it tomorrow. That's fine too. You'll see some correspondence. Okay, next item on our agenda is to discuss this board meeting start time. Just for a little history, we used to start quite a bit later. Most of us didn't like it. It also didn't feel very good for parents, staff, admin having to come after their normal work day.
Sorry.
And be here till 9 o'clock every night. So we wanted to move it earlier. So that's a little history of why it's 5 o'clock now. However, 5 o'clock has its own level of difficulty. Everyone has jobs and responsibilities. So we're trying to find that balance. So our intent here is to throw it up to you guys. Instead of 5, we switch to 5:30, which is a little bit of a compromise. Maybe gives people a little bit more time to get off work, but still be able to make it here while also not asking our admin staff to stay crazy late like we were. I don't know how anybody feels about that. I'm indifferent, really. I'm good for whatever time works for this group.
I can just say that for me, 5 o'clock is difficult typically. It's here early today, but that's not, I mean, I've found it to be kind of more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. Coming from Centerton to here at that time. 5:15, 5:30, I mean, it probably would be fine, but that 5 o'clock is,
It's tough.
yeah.
So you like 5:30 better?
Yeah, I like 5:30 better than 5. I could probably do 5:15, me personally, but I don't know about other people.
If there were 40 parents right there watching right now, I might, say, hey, let's keep it this way because that's what's best. That's just not the case. So. Anybody else have a strong opinion about it?
I'm fine, 5 or 5:30, so if there's a,
You're indifferent?
yeah, 5:30 is the party, then I'm fine with that. I prefer 5:30.
5:30? Okay. Do you feel like, do we have an opinion from Ashley or Adrian or the other about the start time?
I feel like my assumption is Ashley has They probably would prefer 5:30. I think it's a stretch for both of them, especially Adrian at Dayton, to get here with that traffic at 5 o'clock. I don't know what her office hours are.
Okay. I think we're in alignment at 5:30.
So someone needs to make a motion and second.
I will move to change it to be 30. Right.
second,
And we'll put it again.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5:30 it is. I do have one post-agenda topic. We, the board, evaluated Dr. Roberts' performance over this last year. And I've gathered some of those results to discuss here today. I gathered from all the board members just feedback and kind of put together a document that I'm going to go through here a little bit. Overall, Dr. Roberts, we rated you 3s and 4s, more 4s than 3s. Some of the comments that I received, Dr. Roberts consistently demonstrates strong strategic leadership and setting a clear vision for Arkansas arts. Dr. Roberts makes thoughtful, student-centered decisions. Dr. Roberts leads our organizational changes, clarity, purpose, and strong collaboration. There are some things I'd like to just acknowledge on your evaluation that like accomplishments over the year. And the reason I want to acknowledge them because we can get into the 3s and the 4s and try to find room for improvement. But I think it's more important to just celebrate success because there are so many things that have been accomplished over this last year. The Charter School Growth Fund has been a massive difference for this district. It's provided direction, money, all these things that have improved our district. And you really have solely brought that in for us. Bear with me because I worked my way through it. The grants, Dr. Roberts, like the number of grants that you write. I wish we had a grant writer. I wish we could afford a grant writer. Wish we had a grant writer who could write a grant to pay their salary to be a grant writer. I don't know what that looks like, but the grants has been one of your major contributions to the district. Again, bear with me. Managing our financial resources. It's very difficult. Enrollment's been tough. The voucher program, Learns Act, the way that funding works is a very difficult balance to manage of where to spend it, what to spend it on. I would imagine where I work, there's a different opinion about where every dollar should be spent. But 10 people in the room, you'll get 10 opinions, right? I think you've done well to lead our district in that, where we're going with it. My only comment is we, the board, need to be better about communicating why we chose to spend on X or Y with your help, right? Of why we did this or that. I feel like our communication is the one thing we need to work on. I think that's on us, the board, as much as it's on Dr. Roberts about what financial decisions we're making as a group on how to keep our district solvent. Because that's the objective, right? It's solvency for our district to be able to provide for these kids. Data analysis. You guys have drowned me in data analysis. And I think that's your leadership style, right? Like, okay, where's the data? I've heard the board ask you for the data on certain occasions. And then the next thing you know, there's so much of it that we can't think straight or decipher it, right? So I really appreciate that you're bringing us the data to support it. Bear with me. Artful learning advanced a lot this year. I was here when we first started talking about artful learning, like where we were going with it. And I feel like the momentum hasn't stopped. I feel like you've kept us on that, refocused us on artful learning. So I really appreciate that. Feel free to say something, guys, during the The uncomfortable silences. I don't mind them, but some people do. I had some topics that I definitely wanted to hit, but I didn't take the time to highlight. So that's on me. I said this in the financials, but
Preschool. Oh,
preschool, yes. That's it.
it's like I'm terrible at reading lips. I apologize.
Absolutely. That's probably one I was.
Brought on
supposed to highlight.
preschool.
The preschool feeds into the kindergarten and provides, and I know that it's been difficult, right? Starting anything new, there's been some bumps and we've all talked through all those bumps, but it's still getting better. It's a program, it's something available, and it feeds into the district enrollment. That's another accomplishment for sure. I'm gonna stop making it so awkward and stop there. I really wanted to hit some of those high points. Obviously, I have a copy of the evaluation for you to read. I need you, the board member, to sign here so that we can go ahead and acknowledge this evaluation. Also, we have elected to renew your contract for another year. I think we need to vote on that officially, right? Do we need to have a vote on file for that?
So we're at 3 years, yeah.
So we're, yes, to finish out your contract. So I vote to extend the contract one more year, and I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great. Anybody want to add to that? Wonderful, thank you. I'll stop the offer. Okay, that completes our agenda, guys, unless anyone specifically has a reason to go into executive session. I do not. Okay, my favorite vote.
I make a motion.
To dismiss? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.